In order for the PLC to receive programs from the PLC computer software, it must be configured to communicate with the computer. The PLC modules must also be identified and configured to communicate with the PLC CPU. Computer software is used to set up communication parameters and to enter and download programs into the PLC CPU. Modern-day PLCs typically use Ethernet for communication. A modular PLC requires that each module be identified, and the parameters of each module configured. The GE PLC trainer uses software called Prophecy. The software is already loaded on the computer used to control the PLC trainer. This video demonstrates how to identify and configure each of the modules on the GE PLC trainer. All of the modules must be properly identified and configured to be able to receive and execute a program. To begin, locate the Prophecy icon on the computer and start the program. The opening panel allows the programmer to choose an existing project or to set up a new project. The existing projects are shown at the bottom and can be opened by double-clicking the project. This video shows the detailed instructions for setting up a new program. To create a new program, click Machine Edition Template and click OK. The New Project panel is used to name the project and identify the program template. The project template for this project is shown and can be set as the default. Name the project, set the template, and click OK. A new program is created and displayed. A new project requires that all of the PLC modules be identified and configured. This is done in the Navigator panel. The Navigator panel is typically shown on the left side. If the Navigator panel is not shown, click on the View tab at the top of the program and check the Navigator box. Expand the Hardware Configuration folder in the Navigator panel to identify and configure the PLC modules. All of the PLC module information can be found on the modules. However, each module description and module number is posted on the front of the PLC trainer. PLC modules communicate through a backplane or a rack. The rack identification is correct. No changes are necessary to the rack information. Slot 0 is used for the power supply. The power supply module shown in the Navigator is not the right one. To replace the module, right-click Slot 0 and choose Replace Module. In the catalog listing, choose the correct power supply and click OK. After the new module is chosen, an asterisk appears next to the components. This is a prompt to the programmer to save the information. Use keyboard, Ctrl and S, to save the new information. The asterisks are removed after the new information is saved. No changes are necessary for slot 1 since it is not used. Slot 2 is used for the CPU. Right-click slot 2 and choose Replace Module. Choose the correct CPU and click OK. Click Yes to keep the same hardware configuration parameters. Use keyboard, Ctrl S, to save the changes in the hardware configuration. Slot 3 is used for the discrete input module. A module must be added. Right-click slot 3 and choose Add Module. In the catalog listing, notice the tabs at the top. Choose the Discrete Input tab. Select the correct input module. Click OK. Use keyboard, Ctrl+S to save the changes. Slot 4 is used for the discrete output module. A module must be added. Right-click slot 4 and choose Add Module. In the catalog listing, notice the tabs at the top. Choose the Discrete Output tab. Select the correct output module. Click OK. Use keyboard, Ctrl+S to save the changes. Slot 5 is used for the analog input module. A module must be added. Right-click slot 5 and choose Add Module. In the catalog listing, notice the tabs at the top. Choose the Analog Input tab. Select the correct analog input module. Click OK. Use keyboard, Ctrl+S to save the changes. Slot 6 is used for the analog output module. A module must be added. Right-click slot 6 and choose Add Module. In the catalog listing, notice the tabs at the top. Choose the Analog Output tab. Select the correct analog output module. Click OK. Use keyboard, Ctrl+S to save the changes. All of the modules have now been identified. Carefully review all of the module numbers. The wrong identification of a module can result in errors and program faults. The parameters of each module must be configured and IP addresses assigned for proper communication. The CPU is located in slot 2 and must be assigned an IP address to communicate. In the Navigator panel, expand slot 2. Double-click on the subfolder called Ethernet. This will open the parameters panel for slot 2. Click the area to enter the IP address and enter 192.168.123.102. Next, click the area to enter the subnet mask and enter 255.255.255.0. Next, click the status address area and enter %I 01185. Bold letters in the parameter are prompting the programmer to save the changes. Enter keyboard Ctrl+S to save. The PLC has an IP address and the computer software program has an IP address. The IP address that you just entered will be downloaded to the PLC CPU. The software program is called a target and must be assigned the same IP address. In the Navigator tree, right-click the folder called Target1. Scroll down in the Information panel and click on Properties. In the Inspector panel, click the IP address box and enter the IP address number, 192.168.123.102. The target IP address is now the same as the PLC CPU address. Module 3 is a discrete input module. To configure the parameters of this module, double-click slot 3 in the Navigator panel. In the main panel, set the reference address to %I 00001. This is the address reference of the first of 16 analog inputs. Use Ctrl+S to save the changes. Module 4 is the discrete output module. Double-click Module 4 in the Navigator panel. In the main panel, verify that the reference address is %Q 00001. Typically, no changes are required. Slot 5 is used for the analog input module. To configure the parameters of this module, double-click slot 5 in the navigator panel. In the main panel for slot 5, change the diagnostic reference address to %I, 00281. Change the module status address to %I, 00017. Use Ctrl+S to save the changes. Slot 6 is used for the analog output module. To verify the parameters of this module, double-click slot 6 in the navigator panel. Verify that the reference address is %A, Q, 00001. Use Ctrl+S to save any changes. All of the PLC modules have now been identified and configured. In the navigator panel, collapse the hardware configuration folder and click on the program block folder. Double-click on the main folder to reveal the programming area. Programs will be developed and downloaded from this area. To verify communication between the computer and the PLC CPU, first click on the Home tab in the top menu bar. Next, click on the Connect command located in the target menu block. A connecting panel will appear that indicates communication is being set up. When communication occurs, the main programming area will turn gray. Click on the Programmer mode in the target menu block. Click on the top tab labeled PLC Ladder. This reveals ladder components that can be placed in the programming area. Programs can now be created and downloaded to the PLC. PLCs are programmed using software created for the PLC. Module identification and communication configuration is created in the software and downloaded to the PLC. This is typically the first step in using any PLC.